Hi everyone, nubkeks here, welcome back to Nub Raids, and in today's video I want to show you a couple of different team ideas for the Fire Knight tournament that starts tomorrow. It's the GAELLEN Pact Alliance tournament, which means that you can only use champions from the Ogren tribes, the Lizardmen, the Orcs, and the Skinwalkers. So only champions from those four factions are allowed here, and it's actually kind of a difficult tournament, to be honest, right? This is kind of tough. The last tournament we had that was similar to this was with the Corrupted Alliance, which was including Dark Elves and Demon Spawn. So we had champions like Coldheart and Allure, like the best champions for Fire Knight in the game were in there. But yeah, this one is definitely more difficult. But yeah, this first team that we've got going in here is actually probably my favorite one. We're using 4 different champions here. But we've got some pretty cool combos going on, which we'll mostly see when we get to the Fire Knight itself. Clearing through the waves isn't anything too crazy. I just will point out very quickly as well that the reason you might want to do this tournament, even though it's difficult, is because there's probably not going to be many people doing it, which might make this tournament a really good way to grab yourself some nice Relentless gear. The reason people are not going to be doing it is because it's going to be overlapping with a personal rewards CVC, and it's also going to be overlapping with a spider tournament that's part of the current Fragment Legendary event. So that's definitely a downside. Now, you can see a couple of the combos that we have going on here already. Boom. You can see the opener working out really well here. So we are actually able to control this now far more than we were in the past due to the AI update that just came in the last week, right? So what I've had them do, for example, with Razin Scarhide on the far right, he is the only legendary in this particular team, and obviously he's a guaranteed fusion legendary, permanent fusion legendary. If you don't have Razin, this is going to be much harder. But Razin has a full turn meter depletion on his A3, which is very, very useful. And he also has a triple hitter A1. His A2 also is a single hit, but it does put decreased defense and weaken, which is quite nifty. But what we can now do with the new AI, for example, is when we get to the Fire Knight, we can tell Razin to open with his A1, to always open up with his A1, and then we can tell him to follow up priority number 1 with his A3 with the turn meter depletion. And we can even go further than that, and I will show you the full AI setup I've got for this team. We can go further than that, and we can tell him to use his A3 as the first move on round 1 on the first wave, but then to never use it again until he gets to the boss, which means that every single time we'll be able to go in, get Razin to do his triple hitter on the first boss's shield, and then follow it up with the turn meter depletion, which helps us get some damage out for free, which is kind of nice. Now, the other big thing we've got going on here, look at this, 10 stacks on the shield, goes down to 9, goes down to 6. We're using counterattack. We're using Skull Crusher for counterattack, which means that we're essentially recognizing, like, right, that's unfortunate right there, bogged down missed, which is going to slow us down a bit, but recognizing that we don't have the best turn meter control. We just don't have the best turn meter control. We're not going to be able to stop the boss taking a turn. Skull Crusher really helps with that counterattack, especially with a champion like Razin with the triple hitter. We have Sandlash Survivor and Aox Rememberer. Both have double hitters. It's going to make it much easier for us to actually knock down that shield and get to hitting the boss, which is great. Sandlash as well has a buff extension, so that's going to give us better coverage as well with that counterattack. She's going to help counterattack stay up more often. Here we go. Boom. She extends our buffs, which means that counterattack would have still been on when we came back around, and that works really, really well. And yeah, that's sort of the idea of this particular team. I'll show you some different champions you can put in as well. First of all, let me show you their AI setup and what I've done. So it's our Gala. She's going to open up with her AoE, which puts decreased defense. She's going to open up again on wave 2, but she's not going to use it a second time. That's what I've set her to do. Use it to open and don't use it again. Now, you might find that she doesn't have crack armor available when you get to round 2, in which case you're going to have to change this and just put this as priority 1. The reason that I like to set it up like this is because I clear through round 1 a little bit slowly. She will have crack armor ready on round 2, and then we get to round 3, and then she can open up with a triple hitter against the boss. Her other abilities are single hitters, so using this is going to really help her, or help us to get that shield down a bit faster, which is one of the real nice things about Zargala. She gives us an accuracy aura as well, so she's great for this. Razin, this is what I'm talking about with his setup, so he can use Bog Down, which is a 6-turn cooldown. He uses that at the start. Round 2, then, he's not going to use it again, right? Round 3, in fact, we could even, if you want to be even more particular, you could come in and set it like this, to say don't use it, but do open with it, and you're good. Don't use it here. And we come to round 3, he's going to open with the triple hitter, to knock down the shield. Then he's going to follow up with the 100% turn meter depletion. And yeah, that's basically what you need to do. Aox has gotten pretty much no particular things except open up with your double hitter the first time. Then the nice thing about Aox is he comes around and then he does a small bit of turn meter depletion alongside a decrease attack, which helps us get him down. He can put some poisons with his A1, which does help you kill the boss because the boss will take turns. So that's nice. And he also does healing, so he helps you stay alive. Skull Crusher, he's just not using his counterattack for the first 2 waves because they're not going to really live to do anything. And then he's going to come in and he's going to be doing counterattack on the boss. And Sandlash has no real instructions. You can see the speed. So Zargala, in terms of speed, is actually probably too fast. She's very squishy, though. Razin is this quick. And you probably do want to aim for Razin to be fairly quick. You might need to switch this team up a little bit if you're using a slower Razin in like a clan boss, a Demon Lord setup, maybe. Not sure. Aox is this fast. Skull Crusher 200. Sandlash is 196. So yeah, that's the setup I use for this team. Let me show you the second team, and then I'll talk about some other champions, some sleeper champions you can use. Now this team I found, I'm actually going to switch it up. Yeah, so this team is not quite as consistent. I'm actually going to switch this up. Bear with me 1 second here, because I was doing one run with them, and they were a little bit dodgy, and I thought, hey, okay, I actually need to switch up their AI. But this one is fun, because we're going to be using Cleopteryx for this, so she's actually going to just open with Feather Barrage on all the waves. She's not going to use her second AoE on wave 1, because they're basically going to be dead. And you can see for this team, Zargala opens with Crack Armor, but then when we get to wave 2, Crack Armor is... we just have to leave it as default because it won't be back on time, but prioritizing at number 1. Razin is the same AI. Cleopteryx is like this. Then for Maneater, we're going to tell them not to use Ancient Blood on the first 2 waves. And then we get over here, we're going to set Ancient Blood to number 1 and Siphon to number 2. These are 2 Maneaters that are set up specifically for the Demon Lord, for Bad Eater. So that's basically what they're going to do. And actually looks fine just like this. So there we go. Yeah, I think that looks fine. One issue that we can run into here is that their siphons can overlap. But basically, what does this particular team do? Well, this team can, in theory, clear it a bit faster, right? This team can, in theory, be faster. We've got the full turn meter depletion from Razin, and actually the Man-Eaters with their siphon ability also give you full turn meter depletion as well. The issue I've run into is that because Man-Eaters are used for Demon Lord Clan Boss, they're typically pretty low on accuracy. We're using the accuracy aura from Zargala to compensate, but they're still a little bit inaccurate, so we can get a little bit sketchy there. But we also have Man-Eaters giving us unkillable, so we can be fighting this Fire Knight boss sometimes and we'll be sat there at 1 HP, but we're going to be fine anyway. But yeah, Razin does the exact same thing in this, comp Zargala the same. And then we also have Cleopteryx in here just for AoE damage, just for killing these waves faster, and for doing good raw damage to the boss. She's certainly not essential, but she is a login legendary. She's a guaranteed legendary, and she's really good now. If you didn't see the video I did last week, she got buffed a lot in the patch, and she actually hits hard, and it's got really good cooldowns. Mine is not booked. If she was booked, she'd be even better with shorter cooldowns, hitting harder, all that sort of stuff. So she's a great champion, really, really great champion. So yeah, as you can see, we get through this about 1 minute to get through the 2 waves with this particular team. I did think about trying to use a seer team, but I don't know. Like, maybe you can make it work. If anyone has made a seer team work, you can let me know. I certainly found it fairly difficult to make work. So you can see here, for example, we are going to struggle at the start of this Fire Knight for sure. This team is definitely wonky, but the way that it works is that whenever we do eventually get this shield down, we can often very much just keep it down permanently because we've got a lot more turn meter steel, but it looks a lot scarier on the way to get there, as it were. So we need to get somewhat, yeah, this one actually might go pretty badly, huh? This one's looking pretty dodgy. Yeah, they're definitely gonna get a hit off here. Boom. This is gonna hurt. This is gonna hurt a bunch. Uh-oh. We got through it, but yeah, as you can see, the gearing and stuff is pretty intensive. We're also a bit reliant on masteries, so not great. I think we will get through, but it's going to be close, I think. And we got that down. We need a siphon. Okay, there we go. All right, I think we're good now, but yeah. I'm just thinking, like, do I want to recommend this team? This team is kind of dodgy. Like, it works, but as you can see, it's dodgy. Like, Zargala was so close to dying right there. She didn't have unkillable on. So it's certainly not a safe team, but it can do it. It's not as good as the first team, but it can do it. And the nice thing about it is that once you get to this point and the boss has his shield down and you start landing the turn meter depletions, because we've got so many sources of turn meter depletion now, it tends to actually go pretty fast. Like, he might get his shield back up another time. It's possible. But for the most part, we should be pretty good. So like right here, he actually might get it back up. It's very, because the man-eaters steal turn meter. There we go, we're fine. But because they steal turn meter, like, you can't really tune this. At least I have no idea how to sort of speed tune this sort of thing, because they're going to be stealing it at random points. The AI is not smart enough not to use Siphon against a shield or anything like that. But yeah, we do get through. I don't know. Should I recommend this team? I don't know. Like, it works, and it's worked most of the times for me. But, I mean, that came very close to wiping, I'm going to be honest. So, again, to show you the stats, just so you know where we were at, like, Zargala almost died. She's at 50. She's really low defense in that, but, yeah. So just to be aware of it. I mean, Cleopteryx, they're pretty... Okay, to be fair, like, Zargala with 1,500 defense and Cleopteryx with 30,000 HP, like, they're super badly geared for this. And we did live, but it wasn't pretty, but it can work. So anyway, that's team number 2. Use at your peril. Let's put it like that. Use at your peril, but it's the sort of team that can work. Now, there are also some champions that that can do the job even better. In terms of legendaries, I'm not going to talk about these too much, but there's some that are fantastic. Growhack, he can do decreased speed. He can, steal turn meter as well. So Growhack is amazing. I think YST actually did some cool videos with Growhack, for example, against Dark Fae. Kreela with ally attack is fantastic. Who else would be? I mean, Warlord, the Angar, really good with counter attack as well. A couple of other champions to point out for sure would be Tuhac. I think Tuhac is actually really good. If you got a Tuhac built up, this is going to be his time to shine. Double hitter A1 is nice. Then he has an AoE attack with decreased speed and gives him increased speed and also heals himself. So great for wave clear. And then decreased speed on the boss, going to make it much easier. And then he does have a 50% turn meter steal on his A3. That actually is a 100% turn meter steal if he's less than 50% HP. And these actually buck down to really good cooldowns, so he's going to be great for this. He also takes less damage when his HP is lower. So I think Tuhack's actually great for wave clear, and he's good against the boss. Seer, I don't know how to make her work. If you got a good Seer team, let us know, but she could work. Terror Beast, though, is, I think, possibly an MVP for this tournament, and a champion that no one is ever going to talk about in any other situation ever, except for being a pain in the ass in Ice Golem waves when you're fighting against him, or in Doom Tower when you're fighting against him. But it's this move: Shriek, double hitter at random, 30% reflect damage on all allies for 3 turns. So this is a great one, again, when you're expecting that Fire Knight to actually be hitting you, because that's a really good uptime on this. If you buck him out, he actually has a 3-turn cooldown with a 3-turn duration. Even unbooked, though, this is still going to be fine unbooked. And you could leave him at level 50, just crank his HP high. He's got good base HP. Give him some HP, give him some speed, and he should be fine. Using reflect damage, it's on 5 of your team members. The boss hits you, you knock 5 stacks off his shield. You know, good, boom, done. And that's basically all he does. But I think that's a really good one, which is sort of replicating the first team where we have a Sandlash Survivor with the counterattack from what's his name, from Skull Crusher. It sort of replicates that in an easier to do way and opens up more team slots as well. So I think that works really well. In terms of the Ogryn tribes, I think Uragrim maybe could work. Double hitter, he can do a lot of healing and do some poisons, gives you a speed aura. So Uragrim is one to potentially work into some teams. Now, one I don't have, Old Gruckus. Weirdest looking champion in the game, arguably, with his tiny head, but he's great for Fire Knight. Triple hitter that can put leech, decreased speed with decreased turn meter, and then he also has decreased attack and heal reduction on an AoE. And he speed in dungeons as well. So Old Gruckus was literally built for this tournament, and not much else. So there you go. Old Gruckus, he's great for this one. Shatterbones, great as well. AoE, that can deplete turn meter, also hits 3 times. Decrease speed and turn meter fill on his A3. So he is a good option here for sure. Grush, login reward, not good for the boss, but he does give you a lot of healing, right? So he has AoE attacks to clear through the wave, and he will heal you a lot, so he'll sort of help you survive if you have enough multi-hitters to get the shield down and to keep it down. So he's one to consider too. They're probably the only main ones I'd call out here in Ogryn tribes. Obviously, in terms of the legendaries, Shamrock's going to be real good if you got him booked up. Maybe Drogul could work with his counterattack shield. I'm not sure. Yeah, you know, Bellower for wave clearing is fine. He's got some debuffs. Jailer for damage. You have some stuff there, but nothing jumping out. For Lizardmen, obviously, I feel Razin is kind of your go-to for this tournament. He's so good for it. Dracomorph is obviously amazing as well. Krisk is going to be amazing. Fushan, legendaries. You get the gist. In terms of the epics, I talked about Aox. Basilisk can be good for wave clear. But again, he's not really going to help you with that boss too much. I do think Broadmaw's worth calling out because he is a fusion epic. Guaranteed you can get him. He brings you a couple of revives, increased speed, increased turn meter, and he has a single target freeze. So again, he doesn't help with the boss too much. Increased speed though and turn meter fill is nice. So you get more turns relative to the Fire Knight, and therefore you have better control over knocking the shield down. That's good. And he does give you the revive, and the fact that he's a guaranteed champion, easy to get, means that he's a strong option. I think Scathix isn't terrible either. He can put decreased speed on his A1 and shields to keep you alive too, which is kind of nifty, but he wouldn't massively stand out at the same time. A couple of interesting ones in Skinwalkers for sure. So Brachus obviously is amazing. I mean, loads of these legendaries are amazing. Brachus is fun because he has a 6-hitter when he's booked out on a 3-turn cooldown. So if you've got a booked Brachus, this is, again, his time to shine. He's really going to help you take down that boss quickly. I do have him, but he's not booked, unfortunately. But yeah, he's obviously great. I couldn't find a place to fit him cleanly into the team, though. That made it faster. Thane, likewise, bit of turn meter depletion on her A1. Then, you know, poisons, decreased attack and weaken, decreased defense and weaken, excuse me. So she is a decent option to replace Razin if you don't have him, and you do have a Thane built up. Thane is okay. Who else is good here? Steel Skull, good for keeping your team alive. Single target heal, increased defense and AoE heal, double hitter with poison. He's a decent option here. And we have a couple of interesting rares that I will point out too. Gnarlhorn helps with the waves with AoE provoke. I really don't feel like that's super necessary though. And he's bad against the boss, but obviously we want to point him out. Grappler is definitely one to consider. Double hitter at random, so it's a 2-hitter against the boss. Again, a 2-hitter on his A2, which can put some small poisons. Not great, but it's something. This is A3, which is pretty good, which is a shield buff, 20% HP, and reflect damage for 2 turns. And we don't really care that it's the smaller version of reflect damage. We just want to get the 1 damage tick to knock that shield down a peg. And that's exactly what this does. The shield helps you survive, and he is a rare, so he's super easy to buck up. Just throw some rare bucks in. And boom, you've got a 4-turn cooldown shield and reflect damage on a champion that you may have sitting around. So he is one to maybe consider. Panthera, I think, is also a weak, maybe. Some turn meter steal with a triple hitter A1, so that is nice. Double hitter with heal reduction, full version, very nice as well. Stop the boss healing when he takes a turn. Then perfect veil and reflect damage for 2 turns to help stay alive. That's really good. So Panthera is a good option. Problem with her is her base stats are horrendous, so she's going to be difficult to keep alive, and I don't know why you would have one built, but if you randomly do, Panthera is probably going to be okay. I think some people use Satyr as well, who has a 3-turn cooldown here, which is a 4-hitter at random that can do a little bit of turn meter depletion. So I think Satyr as an uncommon is even easier to book, and probably even works decently well unbooked, so maybe something you could throw in. Again, like 83 base speed though is real bad, so it's going to be tough. But yeah, there are a few champions in there. And guys, if you have any ideas, let us know what you think, right? Let us know what you think. If you've got any suggestions for better teams, like I said, this team with the double man-eater, it works. It's a bit sketchy, but it works. And then this is the sort of team with a counterattack or a reflect damage and some healing. Put them in with a Razin, and that starts to be a really good team where, yeah, you're expecting the Fire Knight to take some turns, but with heal reduction and counterattack, you're going to knock that shield down quickly enough and get the damage out, and you will be able to overcome and get that boss down. So there you go, guys. I might knock out some of this tournament myself. We'll see if I can grab some nice free Relentless gear without too many runs. I'm mostly going to be hard focused on Spider. I'm going to be streaming tomorrow with the CVC. Going to be going hard for CVC. Because it's personal rewards, and my clan needs me to get 400,000. So I'm going to be going pretty hard for that. Needless to say, it's going to be intense. But yeah, guys, thank you for watching. I'll see you all tomorrow for the CVC live stream. I'll see you all then. Bye-bye.